So welcome everybody. We are ready to start. And thanks for coming for our brand new webinar. Let's talk about the webinar of today. So my name is Mario Passoni. I'm the head of a conservation project at the World Sustainability Foundation, and I also lead the Sustainable Tourism certification program of Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth. With us today, we have two very special guests. So ladies first, of course. With us, there is Gabriela Aguilar from the Galapagos Travel Center, TripAdvisor at the Galapagos Travel Center. And later on, we'll introduce to all of you her company. And with us, there is also Mike Crossley, the head of the Fundraising and Communications at the Galapagos Conservation Trust. Why there are these special guests? Because our webinar is today dedicated to the sharks of the Galapagos Islands and is called a general overview and how tourism can support their conservation. So today we will talk about sharks, in particular about sharks of the Galapagos. We will talk about how tourism is affecting somehow the Galapagos Islands, and how we can be sustainable and support both Galapagos Islands and sharks. So before we start, I just want to introduce you to our organization, the World Sustainability Organization. The World Sustainability Organization exists since 2008 and has two main projects, Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth. Both projects are certification of sustainability of products and services, coming, for example, for Friend of the Sea from fishing activities, for Friend of the Earth from farming, agriculture, and so on. Among the years, we certified more than 5,000 products from more than 1,500 companies spread around the world, from more than 80 countries around the world, as you can see here. So we are present in different countries, especially in America and the United States, but also in Central Europe and so on. Then, recently, a few years ago, has born also the non-profit part of the WSO, the World Sustainability Organization, which is called World Sustainability Foundation. The World Sustainability Foundation has a main target to protect the global biodiversity in terms of endangered species and threatened habitat and ecosystems. To achieve this important goal, we have developed, supported, and carried out something like more than 40 projects in 44 countries. And our projects can be listed in two main categories. Friend of the Sea conservation projects, as the name suggests, are the projects related to the sea and the ocean. For example, in the past, we supported the project of the Galapagos Conservation Trust about albatrosses and plastic pollution. We support a rescue center on penguins in Tasmania, a rescue center on sea turtles in Italy, a coral restoration project in Thailand, and so on. Here, just to have a look about where we are present about the Friend of the Sea projects. And then for the Friend of the Earth projects, the project related to the land, same approach. We support conservation projects. We have also our conservation awareness projects, such as the Global Butterfly Census, that is a citizen science project. We support, for example, a rescue center on pangolins in Vietnam, a project on singing lemurs in Madagascar, a reforestation project in Central Africa, and so on. And here, again, a map about the project and where we are based. So after this short introduction, let's start from the Galapagos sharks and sharks in general. What are sharks? Of course, are fish, but are cartilaginous fish. They are the oldest fish. In fact, they have existed for about 400 million years. Just to give you an idea, dinosaurs existed since 160 million years. So they appeared 160 million years ago. Sharks, something like 400 million years ago. And this is impressive. They are apex predator. They are very important for the entire marine ecosystems. They are carnivorous, but some of them are also feeding on plankton. Usually they feed on fish, sea turtles, sea lions, other sharks, but not humans. This is important to be clarified since the beginning. Okay, so they could appear dangerous. They can be dangerous, but in fact, the shark attack to humans are very rare. Why sharks are so important? You could say, yeah, I don't care a lot about sharks. I'm living in the city. Why should I care about sharks? Because since they are apex predators, they play an important role in the ecosystem by maintaining the species below them in the food chain. So they eat other fish, other animals. They help removing the weak and sick animals from nature, and so on. There was a kind of study and prediction about how could be the world without sharks, and it's terrifying, really, because there are a lot of consequences on the marine ecosystem, and therefore also on our life. The main threats of the sharks today are overfishing, are shark finning. Shark finning is a very horrible practice where normally the dorsal fin of the sharks are removed and sold mainly in China, Vietnam, Hong Kong, in South East Asia to prepare a soup. And the impact on sharks is very huge. The estimation is about 75 million sharks killed per year for the shark fin soup. And then pollution and other stuff is a very, very bad situation, because all around the world in the last 50 years, on average, the 90% of the population of all the sharks has declined. So it's very worrying, this situation. Okay, so now let's see which sharks are in the Galapagos Island. Just a few examples to give you an idea. And of course, we started from the Galapagos sharks. The Galapagos sharks is called like this because first has been identified in the Galapagos water. Okay, but this species is not endemic, is not living only around the Galapagos Islands. It's living in different areas of the world. For example, I swam with them in Socorro in Mexico. So it's not only about the Galapagos. We could call it as a reef shark because mostly it's living close to the reefs. It on average is long 3 meters, but can reach 3 meters and 70 centimeters. Is feeding mainly on seals, sea lions that are living there in the Galapagos. In this case, I mean about the Galapagos. Then there is the scalloped hammerhead, an hammerhead shark, one of the species of hammerhead shark. I can say that is one of the most iconic species, by my point of view, of the Galapagos. So when I think about the Galapagos, I think about the marine iguanas, and I think about a school of hammerhead sharks, the scalloped hammerhead sharks. And for me, when I see pictures and video of the hammerhead sharks in the Galapagos, it's something very beautiful every time, because it's giving to me a sense of, of biodiversity, of life, and it's something that we should and we have to preserve. So a curiosity about the strange head of a hammerhead shark, that remind, of course, an hammer, sorry. There are different reasons why it's shaped like this. first of all, to improve its vision. It has a 360 degrees vision, and they have therefore an incredible binocular vision and depth perception. And then another advantage of this particular head is that their head can act as a stability organ when making sudden and abrupt movements. So it's used is an advantage for several reasons. And another important thing to be said about hammerheads in general, in nature, no one has registered an attack from hammerheads to humans. Never, never. And then it's also possible to spot the biggest shark of all, the whale shark. The whale shark that on average can reach 10 to 12 meters about the adults. Most of the time is possible in general in other parts of the world, such as in the Maldives and, for example, in Mexico and so on. We used to interact snorkel with juveniles that are long 6 to 8 meters. It's funny to say that are juveniles and they're long 8 meters. By the way, they are plankton feeders, so they primarily feed on plankton and eventually sometimes on very small fish. So despite they are so big, they can reach up to 18 and 19 meters long. They are not dangerous at all for us. So if they are gentle, they are calm. Usually the encounters with them are, wow, impressive, unforgettable. And now let's change a little bit the topic and talk about the tourist trend in the Galapagos Islands. So I made a search and I discovered that tourism started 90 years ago, in 1934, in the Galapagos, with the first organized tour. And with the years, with the time, has increased. It's increased despite also pandemic. And I put the graphic, as you can see, there is a kind of statistic. So starting from 2007 to 2018, the total number of persons that and tourists that has visited the Galapagos has increased. As you can see, at the beginning of 2007 was less than 200,000, and now we reached more than 300,000 tourists. And as you can see from this graphic, the dark green one is about boat, so liveaboards and touristy boat. The number of boats is around 100,000 per year, and the number is constant. What has increased is tourism on land. And this, let me say, can have a consequence that we will see very soon. So the economic impact is good. Has been estimated that there is let me say, kind of annual revenue of 143 million USD dollars every year. And this is also meaning that is providing work to more than 2,000 persons. But there is also a side effect in tourism. So what is the side effect? For example, the potential environmental impacts of tourism in the Galapagos Islands. The first one, pollution and waste, is not potential, is already a negative impact. So here you can see a picture of the beach, plenty of plastic pollution such as plastic bottles, single-use plastic and so on, can come from land, but also can come from the sea. And about it is not only from the liveaboards from the boat that are visiting the Galapagos, but also from the rest of the world, because the currents can bring plastic pollution all around the world, unfortunately. So, as you can imagine, is important a waste management plan, and it's important to reduce as much as possible the use production of pollution and plastic in particular, to reduce the possible negative impact we could have on this. Then another negative impact of tourism is about the invasive species. So among the years, over 740 invasive species have been documented in the archipelago. So what does it mean? Well, it means that with tourists, with boats, with suppliers and so on, has been brought not endemic species of the Galapagos, so species that were not existing in the Galapagos, such as goats, pigs, rats, and so on, and has borne a competition of resources, and not only with the endemic species of the Galapagos, with sometimes negative consequences. So this is a very strong side effect of tourism. And then the habitat degradation, because as I was showing before on the graphic, the land tourism has increased. But to support the land tourism, you have to build a new street, new road, new hotels, and so on. And so there is, as a consequence, an habitat degradation that can be controlled, but there could be. So this can be the negative impact of tourism. And then there is also a potential social impact of the tourism. So the tourism has grown a lot. As you can see, as you have seen, the annual revenue generated is high. But this can create a dependency. So it means that if, for example, hopefully not, of course, there will be in the future another pandemic, or for unknown reason we have to stop again the tourism in the Galapagos. This can be very negative, because if you focus mainly on the tourism market, if the tourism stop, there could be negative effect on the entire population. Another fact is that it's very, very, very important to well manage the tourist and the tourism, and how creating and promoting responsible and sustainable tourism practices. But what is sustainable tourism? One definition that I found is the following: sustainable tourism takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. So, to provide tourism operators and tourists as well with a knowledge, a kind of conduct, and the instruments to be sustainable and reduce or control the impact of the tourists and the tourism, not only in the Galapagos, worldwide. At the WSO, we have created a series of sustainable tourism standards. So about, for example, travel agencies, about tourism facilities such as hotel, resorts, and so on, sustainable beaches, and then sustainable activities such as snorkeling, scuba diving, dolphin and whale watching, whale shark watching, and so on. So we, thanks to our experience in the field, I've been working, for example, personally more than 7 years in the field, in diving center, resorts, and not only. So I'm quite comfortable with the negative impact of the tourists and what can be done to limit this impact. So we started a few years ago. Then the pandemic stopped us for some months, but we have Friend of the Sea sustainable tourism operators spread around the world, as you can see in this map. What are the key points of our standards of certification? For example, no single-use plastic on board of whale watching boats, scuba diving boats, and so on. While you are into the water, so you are swimming, doing snorkeling or scuba diving, do not touch animals. Never, never. Then we created a section about how to approach animals in the wild, to do not feed animals, don't take anything away. For example, in the past, I've been working in Egypt, and in that period, a lot of guests were taking home shells, sand, and so on, and the impact, we were talking about millions of tourism, was terrible, terrible. Then waste and energy management, of course, social accountability. This is a very, very, very important part for us, because there is not sustainability. We cannot talk about sustainability without talking about the rights of the workers, animal welfare, and supports to conservation projects. Here I want just to show you very quickly our project about sustainable beach, tourism facilities. You can find all these projects on our website, both on Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth website. I have brought down the link to each project, so when we will send you the PowerPoint, you can have a look. Or otherwise, you can just go on our website and have a look. Scuba diving, dolphin whale watching, whale shark watching, sea turtle watching, and so on. This one is quite interesting. Something not brand new, but still important. Has been discovered that some chemicals inside the sunscreen cream can damage the corals, can damage the fish, the sea urchins, even the dolphins, and so on. So we made a longer study and search, and we created a standard to certify the sunscreen cream and products that are not containing such chemicals and other and that are respecting other criteria of sustainability. So if you want to know more, you can contact us or visit our website, and you can select the right sunscreen product. And then recently we started also another super important project that is called the Plastic Offset Program. We basically calculate and compensate the plastic used by the companies. And how we compensate it, we collaborate with GemCorp, that is a third-party company. This company, we communicate, for example, we ask a company that wants to compensate its plastic, how much plastic is using or producing in terms of weight. Let's say, for example, 1 ton of plastic. So we contact GemCorp. GemCorp will clean rivers, forests, sea, and so on, and collect the same equivalent of plastic, 1 ton, from nature, and it will recycle this amount. Everything will be tracked via blockchain, and for each ton of plastic compensated, the company will gain a plastic credit. Then the company can use our plastic neutral logo, and so on. But I also like to add that, of course, there is also a consultancy phase where we establish how to reduce the consumption or production or both of plastic. So it's not just compensating. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. More than 30 companies have been certified as sustainable in the field of tourism. Here you can see some of our main logos. And here you can see the brochure that, for example, we used to give to dolphin and whale watching operators. So you can find on board of our certified operators these brochures with a QR code with, in a few words, what cannot be done. In this way, even if you are not an expert, you can understand and find out what are our requirements. Okay. And then the last project I want to talk about is the certification of a travel agency. It's something that we started less than 1 year ago. It's working very well. And proudly, I can say that we, a few months ago, we have certified the first Ecuadorian travel agency, that is the Galapagos Travel Center. In fact, with us, there is Gabriela, and I will transfer the control to Gabriela. In this way, she can talk about and show you who she is and what we do.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so hi, everyone. I'm Gabriela. I'm a travel advisor from Galapagos Travel Center Company. We are a travel agency that are working with Mario around 1 year, and I will present some important things we do for a conservation on the environment on the Galapagos Islands. So, how do our actions make a difference from the other travel agencies in Ecuador? We make a positive impact on our environment and community. We strengthen our brand and reputation. We contribute to the long-term success of everyone, and we build a sustainable future. We have different plans and work in different projects here. So our impact in the Galapagos, we work with conservation initiatives. Our impact on the environment, we work with projects in carbon offset. Okay, so we have 2 more projects with social support. We contribute to provide meals to individuals with limited financial resources here. And we contribute with the students in education. So we support sustainable education in the Galapagos Islands. So one of our projects is carbon offset, how to measure. So we measure in the flights that our passengers take to travel in Ecuador and also to the Galapagos Islands, the cruises or the programs that we sold to passengers, the transportation that we use to arrive to our office, and for all the company. So we produce 3,853 tons of CO2, and we compensate 1.5 tons of carbon per passenger with the project that we work here. We work with a foundation here. So we work and we protect 38 hectares of protect reserve with this foundation here. We also work with Galapagos Conservation. We work in different projects, ecosystems recovery, conservation, and research on endemic species, and technical and scientific support to the Galapagos National Park. And with this project, we protect a giant tortoise by passenger. Now, we work also have social support. As I mentioned before, we work in Quito, is the capital of the country. We work with a project, also with a foundation here, and a full meal per passenger for individuals with limited financial resources. And we work also on the Galapagos Islands with Charles Darwin Foundation. We contribute to the education, so 2 children trained in sustainability per passenger. Our plan, and we work the last 2 years on these 4 projects. So for each passenger, we offset 1 plus 4 tons of CO2. We protect 1 giant tortoise. We provide 1 full meal, and we train 2 people in sustainability on the islands. When you buy a tour with our company, you receive a certification from one of our trip advisors. And for all these projects that we have in our country, we are the first travel agency, as Mario mentioned before, and in obtain the certification. So we have the certification Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth from World Sustainable Organization, recognize our commitment to the ENICAT and sustainable practice in animals welfare and sustainable responsibility in waste management. So traveling with our company means making a meaningful impact on both environment and local communities. while enjoying an unforgettable journey in one of the world's most unique ecosystems. So it's the work that we do in Ecuador and with different foundations, and also now we are working with Mario.
Thanks a lot, Gabriela. Thanks a lot, really. Okay, so now can you pass the control to Mike, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you for there's some amazing initiatives there from WSO and GTC. Good afternoon or good morning, depending where in the world you are. And thank you for allowing me to tell you a little bit about Galapagos Conservation Trust, or GCT for short. So many acronyms. Why Galapagos is so important for conservation, and a little bit about how our projects help to protect sharks. So yes, GCT was founded in 1995, and we are the only UK NGO to focus solely on conserving the wildlife of Galapagos. We are a team of 17 people based in London, but also with a presence in Quito and in Galapagos. Now, we partner with many organizations and people in Galapagos and internationally, and that's scientists, other NGOs, project partners, Ecuadorian authorities, local communities, and especially the Galapagos National Park. And by raising funds and awareness, we support and deliver projects in Galapagos that respond to key threats facing the islands. And these projects focus on restoring natural habitats such as the ocean, protecting threatened species, improving livelihoods, and driving sustainable solutions. And our funding comes mainly from trusts, individuals, and companies. And we are very efficient and lean with only 17 people. So about 85% of every bit of money raised goes straight towards our conservation work. So for centuries, Galapagos has inspired human beings, being the location of many incredible discoveries that have shaped the way we understand our place on Earth. From the Galapagos mockingbirds, plants and finches inspiring Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, to the discovery of the world's first deep ocean hydrothermal vents, Galapagos has a deep cultural heritage as well as an immeasurable value as one of the few remaining sanctuaries for biodiversity. One of the world's first World Heritage Sites, Galapagos has incredibly high numbers of wildlife found nowhere else. So 97% of its reptiles and land animals, 80% of birds, and about 20% of plants are endemic to Galapagos. And it continues to inspire new science and conservation, and is a real beacon for hope. Over the last 30 years, we have seen major changes, not least in the numbers of people living on and visiting the islands. As Mario said earlier, in 2023, it was around 329,000 people, and there's about 33,000 residents in Galapagos. And that compares to about 60,000 visitors and 12,000 residents in 1995, so just in 30 years. But as this webinar focuses on sharks, I'm just going to address some particular issues affecting the marine environment. Well, I think we've all got this slide, but I think it just demonstrates the incredible marine diversity in Galapagos. And as Mario has earlier said, there's 32 or 33 shark species found in the ocean around Galapagos, including blacktip, silky, dusky Galapagos, and these critically endangered scalloped hammerhead sharks. And the Galapagos Marine Reserve is actually home to the highest concentration of sharks in the world, including huge and spectacular whale sharks. Sadly, though, the wildlife of Galapagos is under threat, and there are now at least 72 threatened species, 52 of which are critically endangered. It's significant that most extinctions have taken place on islands, and Galapagos is an amazing example of how species evolved in isolation. For example, the marine iguana, which is the world's only seagoing lizard, and it has the only flightless cormorant in the world. So if we let species go extinct in Galapagos, many will be lost to the world forever. So while the waters around, this is just a gratuitous use of another slide on sharks actually, but while the waters around Galapagos are rich in marine life, and there really are a lot of sharks. There are also some challenges. Probably the biggest threat to sharks in Galapagos is from overfishing and illegal fishing. Over 1 million sharks are harvested globally from our oceans every year, a lot for shark finning, and over 250,000 sharks are landed annually in Ecuador alone, mostly deliberately, but also caught as incidental bycatch, including in ghost gear, which are these lost nets, as you can see from the top right-hand picture, and also by what they're called fish aggregating devices, or FADs. That's the picture on the bottom left of the screen. These are sort of floating contraptions, often with nets or long lines dangling underneath. And long lining is a particularly big issue. These can feature miles and miles of baited hooks, which are set to catch mostly tuna, but the actual catch is made up of around 40 to 70% sharks at any one time. So what can we do about this? It's not all doom and gloom. There have been some amazing successes in Galapagos and the Eastern Pacific in recent years, with a real momentum building for change. And one thing that GCT does well, and donations from the dive trip will really help this, is helping to provide the data to the policymakers and the Ecuadorian government to help expand the protected area of protected ocean around Galapagos. The whale shark tagging program is really important here, and the tracking data, you can see the tracks of whale sharks that have been tagged in the top right-hand picture here. They help convince the authorities to expand the marine reserve with the 60,000 square kilometre Hamanded Marine Reserve, announced by the president at COP26 in 2021. And you can see the area, the new area of protection, in the bottom right of the screen, so just above the Galapagos Marine Reserve. And it was a migratory channel connecting Galapagos with the Cocos Islands, and it really does help provide protection for a lot of different species. The ultimate aim is to protect 30% of waters around Galapagos by 2030. It's currently around 19%, but it's also vital to ensure that these large areas of protection are effectively policed and monitored. And tourists and the tour industry can help influence behaviour change. For example, there is currently no real market in Galapagos for sustainably caught fish, and many fish, including salmon, are still being imported to suit Western tastes. Mario has talked about plastic pollution, which is another really pressing issue affecting all wildlife, but also marine wildlife in Galapagos. So while many beaches that the tourists visit look pristine, and they are pristine, we do see major accumulations of plastic in some of the windward-facing beaches that tourists visit less often. And it can be really bad. About 8 tons of plastic pollution are collected each year from Galapagos beaches. And of course, the impacts of plastic pollution are often on wildlife. So the studies that we and partners have been conducting over the last few years have found that 52% of Galapagos marine invertebrates contain microplastics. These are these tiny little pieces in the top right. And 52 species were found either entangled in plastic or have ingested it. 20 of those are endemic to Galapagos. We do know that about 98% of coastal plastic pollution comes from outside the marine reserve. So it's not tourists particularly who are creating this issue. About 40% of all plastic pollution in Galapagos we have found is probably coming from fishing vessels. And 69% of this identifiable plastic is single-use plastic, so it is completely avoidable. So GCT supports various mitigation actions to reduce the amount of plastic pollution. Firstly, identifying the main sources of the plastic found and trying to address the harmful plastics entering the marine reserve in the first place, but also supporting coastal cleanups, monitoring the effects of and filling in knowledge gaps about ingestion and entanglement by species, and promoting the single-use plastic bans on the island. And also by working closely with Ecuadorian government and authorities to provide the information to influence policy and help push for a truly legally binding and effective global plastics treaty, which is work that's going on at the moment. And of course, as you can see in the top right, by influencing societal change to reduce the reliance on plastic by helping support education initiatives and spreading awareness. Another threat comes from these invasive or non-native species introductions, and that's happened over the centuries actually, through the growing movement of people and cargo. So obviously cats and rodents and goats and the various plants on land are very visible, but some of the smaller invasive species are actually the deadliest. So for example, the larvae from the introduced fly, which is called the avian vampire fly, Philornis downsii, sucks blood out of the hatchlings of birds, causing their deaths. And scientists have estimated, I think Mario said 740, we've got up to 1,500, but who's counting, non-native species across the Galapagos Islands, and have identified 53 in the marine environment, including species of algae, crab, starfish, and barnacles. And various Galapagos marine species are affected by this, including penguins, cormorants, sea lions, fur seals, marine iguanas, turtles, dolphins, and whales. GCT supports research into the causes, impacts, and solutions to invasive species. Ultimately, most visitors, and hopefully those people taking the dive trip, come to Galapagos to see the incredible biodiversity, and so protecting species is GCT's primary objective. And working with Mario and the WSF, we decided that donations from the dive trip should firstly be targeted at protecting sharks. And over the last few years, our research has discovered that Galapagos has important blacktip and hammerhead shark nurseries, and some of Galapagos's rarest rays in the shallow mangroves around the islands. Scientists are using drones, so the bottom left there's quite a lot of drone activity going on, to locate new sites. They're installing underwater cameras to see what species are around. They're catching, weighing, and tagging juvenile species, monitoring the nursery sites, and taking DNA samples to better understand the connectivity of species. Finally, the impact of climate change on sharks is being researched. So we know that the ocean covers about 71% of the Earth's surface, and we know that action is urgently needed on a whole range of levels to protect its biodiversity, to capture carbon, and to combat the effects of a changing climate. The Galapagos Marine Reserve was established in 1998, protecting an area of 133,000 square kilometres. And while the new Hamandad Marine Reserve expanded this by a further 60,000 square kilometres, we still need to protect around 110,000 square kilometres to reach the target of 30% protection by 2030. Experts have suggested that protecting 30% of global oceans will help preserve the biodiversity that can keep some of the impacts of climate change in check. So in summary, I guess the Galapagos Islands are unique as they still have around 95% of their biodiversity intact, unlike other islands like Hawaii, for instance, which probably has an estimated 5%. So if and when you do visit Galapagos, you'll hopefully be touched by the magic of these wild, thriving, and incredible islands whose wildlife offers such amazing experiences. And obviously, if this inspires you, then do consider how you can help to protect them. There are a number of ways to support, but I guess most importantly, if you do visit Galapagos, be a responsible tourist. Support local communities, follow the national park rules, keeping to paths and keeping your distance from animals. Don't bring in any single-use plastic, and do take your plastic waste home. And speak out if you're offered plastic straws or bags for souvenirs. Question the sustainability of any fish served, and of course promote conservation issues when home. And obviously there are a number of ways you can support GCT specifically, But if nothing else, please do sign up and receive our e-newsletters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in this last part, I want to focus, put the attention of the trip we arranged all together in order to explore the Galapagos Islands and support the Galapagos Conservation Trust, as well as protecting in general the biodiversity. So during this trip, I will be your personal naturalist, and I will give you lessons, insight about biology, such as the biodiversity of the Galapagos Islands. Can be also curiosities from the animal world or something like this. And I will be, as said, your personal and private naturalist during all the activities. This trip is very important and will start on, if I'm not wrong, 12th of July 2025, and will last 7-8 days. And the most important thing is that part of the cost of the trip will be donated to the project that Michael was talking about, the one on baby sharks and drones. So we will support an important project in the Galapagos. So at the end of the day, you will join an incredible trip, a quite classic vacation in the Galapagos, plus a private naturalist, plus a contribution to a concrete project in the Galapagos to protect what you are visiting. Who can participate? Basically everybody. Yes, from the 12th to the 19th of July. We have the diving program and the snorkeling program. So this trip is for a group of maximum 11 persons plus me, and of course the local guides. So we will go scuba diving, we will make tour to the islands, we will go to San Cristobal, and we will go diving again. For snorkeling program is similar, but instead of going scuba diving, we will go snorkeling. So this is a very unique chance to be a sustainable tourist and to give back something to nature and at the same time enjoying. For info reservation, you can contact me at this email, info@worldsustainabilityfoundation.org, or even better, so much better, if you can directly contact the Galapagos Travel Center and Gabriela to find out more about this trip. Answer some questions. I would like to start from the 3 messages from Daniela. I do agree with you, Daniela. I'm sorry for this. I forgot to do it. She is saying that by her point of view, is not only the impacts, the negative impacts, such as pollution, are not just coming from tourism, but also from other human activities, and is correct, of course. Then she's asking to mention the important role of the Galapagos National Park to managing tourism. I think is the most important part in this case. And the certification, by my point of view, the single tourist can give an additional support. But of course, the Galapagos National Park commitment is the most important. Then a question: are sharks dangerous while scuba diving? No. Don't be worried about it. Sharks are not dangerous. As I was saying at the beginning of the presentation, there is a statistic that estimates that every year there are from 5 to 10 persons that are dying due to sharks attack in the world. And most of them are due to, for example, infection or loss of blood. but in general, they do not attack. In general, they do not care about us. I swam with tiger sharks, for example. That is one of the most aggressive actually. And once they have seen us, they just change the direction and they turn away. About the armorets, for example, the scalloped armorets, they are super shy. In fact, once they see the bubbles, they swim away from us. And yes, just avoid to bring food with you and to feed them. This is the only recommendation, to avoid such of things. Then, another question is, I have 2 children, aged 10 and 12, who only snorkel. Can they participate in the trip? Yes, the answer is yes. Of course, they need to know how to swim, but they can. So we will provide you with all the equipment, life jacket and whatever, to go snorkeling the safest way as possible. Then, last question, that is not really a question, an observation from Liliana. I'm in the United States, and she had some issue about seeing the presentation, but she has seen the Gabriela screen. By the way, Liliana, we already referred to the competent person of this issue. I'm sorry for that. It never happened to us before. I don't know what happened, but you will get the presentation and the video as promised at the beginning. So we don't have any other question. If you want to know more about this, if you have an additional question and you want to have an answer, you can write us. We will be glad to answer. Mike, I want to publicly thank you for all what you have done, for your commitment to nature and your support in the last months here to my work and our work. Thank you very much, Mike, for your time and for everything.
You're very welcome.
Grazie mille, davvero. And thanks a lot, Gabriela, for your time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Help our planet with this first step. Follow Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth across our social media. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your follow and subscription helps us spread the sustainability message to everyone. Let's build a better world together as sustainable friends.